Well, we got about a minute to go,
Oh,
which means that the audience is, they're just gathering. They haven't,
priming. Yeah.
yeah, they haven't all gathered yet.
Is there a way to like flash the house lights to get people to finally take their seats? And
It'd be kind of like this, I guess.
yeah, there you go.
As close as I
I think
can.
I forgot to use a Q-tip.
Ah,
Ears are wet.
I hate that.
I do too.
I don't care whether your ears are wet. I hate when mine are wet.
Yeah. I don't
And,
like it when other people's are wet either. Just knowing that their ears might be wet is a little bit gross.
Yep. So, I'm,
I can't even see your screen.
it's gone bad.
Yeah.
Can you see me now?
I can see you. I mean, I recognize that it's you. I'm not mistaking you for Cindy or one of the cats.
Because my green lines indicate I'm sending good. I'm sending you good.
You send good?
I'm sending good data. I don't know why you'd be getting bad data.
Maybe it's mine. I don't know how to check mine.
Don't know. But you look good, and
Good.
it's more important for you to look good than for me to look good.
I agree.
So I'm checking to see if our competition is live yet. I think I'm looking in the right place. This is Brad Kranz, the Brad and Brit Show. They, a couple guys from the Triad. They used to be radio guys. They got fired from WBT in Charlotte a while ago. And they've been doing a podcast for a few years. And they've been doing it at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they switched to 8 o'clock at night.
Oh.
But in theory, they do it live on Facebook. It's the Brad and Brit Show. But I'm not seeing them. I just, even though they've horned in on our time, we've barely started here, so I wanted everybody to know just in case that they changed. But I'm not seeing anything live from them right now.
Well, maybe they were so intimidated by our presence that they just gave up.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah. I think I need a pillow for my back. Gotta find a desk chair.
Okay. Well, I'm not finding them. So the official beginning. You have come up with an introductory line for yourself?
Yes, finally.
Okay.
I'll
Do you want to do yours?
botch it.
You want to do yours first?
I haven't said it out loud. No,
Well-
you need to do yours first because
It tags on.
yeah.
It's a follow-on. All right. From the studio in the bonus room above the garage on the north side of Cary, and
From the dining room in the borderlands between Walltown and Trinity Heights in Durham, North Carolina.
between what and what?
Walltown and Trinity Heights.
Sure. Where the hell is that?
Well, that's how the neighborhoods in Durham work. Everything has a name.
Well, everything all over the place has a name. No one knows where they are.
But Durham organizes around neighborhoods. They have reunions around neighborhoods, and whole things happen around your neighborhoods. But I'm in this weird, like Walltown is a more traditional lower income neighborhood, and Trinity Heights is the really Ritz neighborhood. And I fall in this like 100 square foot area that doesn't actually fall into either one. So I'm just,
You're in no man's land.
yeah, I'm
Neutral territory, the neutral zone.
Yep.
The Klingons, the Romulans, the Federation. You're in the neutral zone.
neutral zone. Yep. I'm the Swiss.
I'm trying to find out how big a nerd you are. Klingons, Romulans.
Yeah, I've heard of them. I'm more of a Doctor Who fan.
Which Doctor is your favorite?
Oh man, what's his name? Baker? Tom Baker?
I think he's everybody's favorite, isn't he? He's about like 3-4 doctors back.
Yeah, well, he's more than that. I mean, he's like 80s.
Okay.
80s doctor.
I've been in and out on it. It's always been a little bit irritating. You know,
it was something I grew up watching with my mom.
It's a female doctor now.
I'm all for.
Is that just wrong?
Equality, but I mean, who ever heard of a female doctor?
Female Doctor Who or female doctor? Doctor.
Just kidding.
No, you know what it's time for?
What's it time for?
The music, which the people on YouTube don't get to enjoy. And the reason for that is I don't own the rights to the music, and YouTube will slap me down. They don't pay attention to the podcast. Episode 22, August 2nd, 2018. Politics. Constipation Party.
What a name.
You know what it's all about, but they don't. It's not what you think. I think that qualifies for clickbait. And
probably.
Even if it doesn't, I want to push the clickbait button here.
I don't think you've done that since Gun Show.
Yeah, well, there we go. There's the clickbait button. Unfortunately, you can't hear the clickbait klaxons go off, but the audience heard them. I think they're not as loud as they ought to be. I'll work on that. So here I am. I'm now Snowflake. Gary Pierce, Snowflake. I got that title in there. Oh, you're not seeing the video well enough, right?
No.
So you're not reading the title. It says Snowflake.
I can. Yeah. Snowflake and Badass. That's us.
Okay. Julia McClung, still the badass. Okay. Let's see where we were. Got a YouTube comment from. Am I looking at the right thing? How did that get there? Things are all screwed up here.
You may have to go solo for 30 seconds while I separate the dogs.
Okay. Well, I lost something like super important here. Yeah.
Say really interesting things while I separate them.
Okay. Well, Julie is going to separate the dogs. I am going to try to find a link that Oh, there it is. I've been looking at the wrong thing entirely. As you can tell, I have total control of the show. I understand just exactly how all this stuff works.
And I have total control of my dogs.
Yep. Right.
As long as I'm holding food.
So we got a YouTube comment from our viewer in Raleigh.
Thank you for being our viewer.
Yeah. Okay. I think you understood that too, because I was being careful the way I said it. Our viewer, not our viewer in Raleigh, as if he's one of many viewers. He's our viewer.
He's our viewer.
And he's in Raleigh.
He just happens to be in Raleigh. Yeah.
And his comment was he's enjoying the show, but how about something about Raleigh? So
we talked about Raleigh last week, like how we don't have any representation in Raleigh on this show.
And we never go there and we don't know anything about it.
I grew up there. I lived in Raleigh most of my life.
What part?
Well, it used to be North Raleigh, but I don't think it's technically North Raleigh anymore. It's
inside the Beltline or outside?
Inside.
Oh yeah, that's exclusive territory now.
Right. So it's over like Millbrook Road, Six Forks and Millbrook, that area.
That's outside the Beltline. Depends on which Beltline we're talking about now, because now there's two.
Oh, yeah, it's
Millbrook
inside
is definitely
540, outside 440.
Yeah, inside 440, that's the...
Oh, yeah, no.
Territory.
My mom's silver spoons, they hang on a wall. They're not, they were never in my mouth.
Yeah. All right, so you know Raleigh. I actually lived in Raleigh for a few years before I married Cindy. Moved in with her and Carrie and then married her.
Okay, be interesting. I realized I separated them, but I still had the other rooms open. So now all hell's breaking loose.
Oh, we can hear it. Listen to that. We're listening. So her dogs get along well with each other, apparently. All is quiet on the dog front. So be interesting. I did this to Cindy the other day on a show. I said I had to go pick up something, and I told Cindy that Cindy was with me on the show, and I said, talk to the audience, and she's hamina. Cindy's not a trained podcaster the way we are.
Yeah, clearly this is a 100% professional operation we got going here.
Yeah. Well, the audience needs to realize this is all just exactly the way we intend it to be.
Yes.
Nothing. I mean, this may seem loose and slapdash and lackadaisical, but no, this is exactly how we planned it. Everything.
I mean, we spent months figuring out how to contrive this level of uncoordination and chaos.
Exactly. Well, and in fact, everything we say is scripted.
Yes.
Yeah. Every word is written down, including the words I'm saying right now.
And it's funny because so many other shows try to pretend that they're unscripted, yet we just come out and tell you. I mean, professional writers. We have a whole team of professional writers.
Because it takes weeks to come up with each show.
To put this together.
Yeah.
And the rehearsing, I mean, some of these rehearsals, weekends, we start 6 a.m. and we just go straight around the clock until, Monday morning.
Yep. And this is the result. You couldn't.
And don't even get me started on post-production.
Yes. These are all, even though it appears to be live on YouTube.
Live,
no,
it's not.
No, we did this weeks ago. So, and
last week I was CGI. I wasn't here at all.
Can you imagine what it would be like if we just threw it together and showed up? It would be a disaster. And it's not that easy to be this casual.
No.
Have you ever seen a corporate video?
Oh, yes, every day.
And they try to present an air of casualness. Hi, I am definitely not reading a script, and I am casual. And this is your tutorial on sex in the workplace. We take it very seriously here at Brand X Corporation. You've seen one of those.
Always be sure the elevator doors are closed before engaging in sexual activity.
And there's just two of your whatever number of consenting adults you have chosen to be with in the elevator, but don't make anybody else uncomfortable. All right, so we got our viewer in Raleigh who wanted to see some Raleigh stuff. What they had last weekend was I think they called it the SuperCon. It's a Comic Con version.
Oh, was that in Raleigh?
Yeah. I know they got one up in Durham sometime, but there was one in Raleigh last weekend.
Yeah, we do Comic-Con. I've been to it at least once. It's fun.
Yep. I think they call it SuperCon. In fact, now I know they call it SuperCon. In Raleigh, I think you've been to one?
It wasn't SuperCon, but Comic-Con in Durham.
Yeah.
I've got some good pictures. I should send you those pictures to add to this.
Did you cosplay?
No.
I'm not going to add anything to
this.
But
that would
require work.
I was wearing a great shirt that said, "Also, I can kill you with my brain," which is a line from Serenity.
Firefly, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you got some nerd cred. I'm in the Marvel universe kind of thing. I watched the Serenity series. I noticed that people were wailing and gnashing of teeth because it had been canceled. I watched it years after it had been canceled, and I also watched the movie, the Firefly movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty good, but it was.
Oh, it was amazing! It was. I mean, that and Buffy is definitely Joss Whedon's best work. Come on,
Joss Whedon. I think I've heard the name.
Oh,
I'm
Gary.
more of a Marvel and DC movie guy.
Man.
I do have to whine a bit about the DC stuff on the CW. I don't know if you watch. We don't watch TV. You don't have TV, right?
Yeah, I don't have any. Well, I now have a streaming service that sort of gives me pseudo TV, but I don't think it has CW on it.
What's the streaming service?
Philo. PHILO.
Not familiar with it. How much does it cost you?
It's $17 a month.
Okay. So I won't be dragging you over to YouTube TV because it's
how much is
$40 a month, but it's got lots and lots of channels.
But I've got
plus your local channels.
I have Netflix, I have Hulu, I have Philo. I only get, my life now is only letting me watch like half an hour a night of TV, which is killing me a little bit.
We are peak
because
media.
I just got a new TV. His name is Bartok, and I've hardly had any time to spend with him at all.
You name your TV.
Yeah. Well, he's currently my best friend.
You were mentioning that you're not so much of a go out and play.
No, I'm not. I'm kind of I'm busy all the time. I go through phases, like hard party phases and then homesteading phases. I'm in a homesteading phase right now, making my own scented vinegars and that kind of thing. Anyway, Raleigh.
Scented vinegars is a non sequitur contradiction in terms of some kind.
You can create. So I have an orange lavender vinegar.
I mean, it's got a scent. It's just like you.
No, it's getting rid of the vinegar smell. Like the orange, it's been steeping for 30 days with orange peels, and you can hardly smell the vinegar anymore. It mainly just smells like an orange cleaner.
And what's the point?
To not have to purchase any commercial cleaners.
Oh, okay. So this is a cleaning product.
Right.
That doesn't smell bad.
Right. And works really well.
How many weeks of work? Or is it a little bit of work and then it's just got to ferment for a while?
Well, yeah, I just ate an orange and then I put the peel from the orange in a mason jar and poured some vinegar on it.
Okay. And it works. Okay.
That's my recipe.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Da 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 da.
Yeah. I forget what we were talking about, but we were
Raleigh. We're trying to talk about Raleigh.
Trying to get to Raleigh, and so the Comic-Con. Oh yeah, the Comic-Con. Well, anyway, so I saw this article someplace. So speaking of Doctor Who, do you recognize the name John Barrowman? I mean, it says he's Doctor Who, a Doctor Who hero.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in years. This is more of a growing up thing. When other people were watching Star Trek, which is just awful, I was watching Doctor Who.
Star Trek is wonderful.
Especially
the new one. I like the new one. You can only see the new one on CBS All Access.
Or on Philo.
They have the new Star Trek Discovery on Philo.
Yeah, because they've got the BBC tie-in on that.
Okay, well, cool. Yeah, I'm a Star Trek fan. I liked Enterprise. I like them all.
Good.
She said.
That's the nicest thing I can say.
With almost no hint of condescension in her voice. Well, apparently, John Barrowman is a Doctor Who guy. Yeah, I haven't watched any of the new Doctor Who's either.
Oh, it was on my birthday. He did this on my birthday.
Oh, well, cool.
Maybe it was for my birthday.
Apparently, he's also been in Arrow and Flash. And I was whining about the
DC.
Yeah, the DC Comics heroes on TV are on CW. They got Green Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, and it's a teenage angst party. They're all so damn worried about themselves.
Yeah, I think teens are these days, though.
And
that's kind of they're like hipster superheroes now.
Yeah, and they're aimed at an audience that apparently appreciates that. and wants to see Supergirl fret over everything in every episode. That is not my idea. So that's why, because I grew up DC, and now I'm Marvel, because the movies and the TV shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I haven't watched any of these.
We're going to have to coordinate. Maybe some viewing parties. I'll watch something that you like, and you can watch something I like, and then we can decide we're never going to watch stuff together.
You're never, no more the one and only viewing party.
Yeah. Cindy and I, it's very difficult. Her viewing habits and programs she likes are very different from mine. So we settle on one or two things that we both kind of like, and hope they don't run out. And they've all mostly run out. So we've been through West Wing at least twice. Right now,
are you watching Westworld?
I've heard the name.
I like sci-fi.
So we should try that.
Westworld's good. It's complicated, but you're both smart.
Yeah,
you can figure it out.
I tried to. I've been watching Man in the High Castle.
I like that, but it stresses me out.
Yeah, I showed Cindy the first episode, and she said it's too dark.
Yeah, it really. There's some of them that just keep that tension. I like Breaking Bad, great show. I could not watch past the first season. I just can't take it. Life's stressful enough.
Breaking Bad was weird. I watched the whole thing, and it was different. It was like, these guys, they're not following any of the rules, like that headroom rule I gave you. But where your head is supposed to be compared to the top, they broke all the rules on how to make a TV show. So,
yeah.
And I enjoyed it for that. And I know how it ends, and I guess I won't tell you because that would be a spoiler alert.
I know how it ends. I mean, I've seen every satire of it and heard there's an explosion, people die.
Yeah, everybody dies.
Yeah, everybody dies.
Not a satisfying Hollywood ending for sure. But I did enjoy it. But it was like, do I want to watch another Breaking Bad? Man in the High Castle is similar. I'm just getting started in first season, and
I think we watched the first season and then sort of, yeah, it's just, ugh.
And people out there, if we had anybody out there, they would be saying, "You should read the book. The TV show doesn't do it justice."
That's probably true. And there often things, I mean, I don't read I don't read. I read with my ears with Audible. So I listen to lots of books that people see movies for. And then I don't want to see in fact, I just started a Gillian, and it bugs me that she pronounces it Gillian instead of Jillian. That just seems pretentious to me.
What is this?
Anyway, Gillian Flynn, the book she's best known for is Woman on a Train or Death Train Ride or something like that.
Obviously
anyway,
a big fan.
I like her, and that was a good book. And I just started reading this new book, Dark Objects, Dark Place. Good grief. Something. And it's a Gillian Flynn book with the word dark in it. But I just realized I saw the movie of it, because now as I'm listening to it, I'm seeing the scenes unfold in my memory and remembering that I've already seen this stupid story, so I know exactly how it ends. I don't think I'm going to finish it.
I don't read a lot, partly because when I start reading, I can't stop, and I'll be up till 2 or 3 in the morning every night.
Right.
Until I'm
I
done.
Can't do that.
Probably the last series of books that I read, like just voraciously, were the Harry Potters, which were not all that good.
They were great. So fun.
They were great books and bad literature.
Oh yeah. Well, but they're just great stories, good fun.
And then when I saw the movies, They were exactly what I was imagining from the book.
Really?
Exactly. Hogwarts looked exactly like I was thinking.
That's true. I think visually the first movie, I kind of stopped, I think, after the second movie. The first movie really did visually portray everything I had imagined, but they tried to it was like they were trying to regurgitate the book, and the book
they jammed a lot in.
It didn't make any sense. They put too much in, but had to leave some parts out, and the parts that they left out, then I didn't care for the movies, but liked the books very much. But I listened to Audible obsessively because I can listen in the car, in the shower, and when I'm doing dishes and cleaning up dog poop. It's great.
This episode of the Triangle Talk Show is brought to you by Audible.
Yes.
They sponsor every other podcast. Why aren't they here?
And Philo and Audible.
Yeah, and YouTube TV.
So Raleigh, what are you telling me about Doctor Who and Raleigh?
Oh, so we got this guy, and once again, everyone, this is a audio podcast. Do not watch the YouTube, even though right now, as we're live, you pretty much have to watch the YouTube. So apparently apparently this guy he just likes to tease the audience and right now I'm going to use the word outrageous things, and then I'm going to play this, and the question will be, is this outrageous? So here's what he did. You want to describe it? Can you see it well enough?
So he's naked not naked. He's got his pants, so he's mooning. He's doing moons over my hammy. Somersaults down a hotel hallway.
Yeah. Okay. I've frozen the image at an appropriate spot.
Yeah, and great. I really love this still. This is perfect. This is the cleftal horizon.
Yeah, it's what you can't see from the plumber.
Right.
It's what comes a little below what you can see from the plumber. We're looking at his butt. He's doing somersaults in toward the camera with his pants lowered below his butt. You're not seeing his, any full frontal. It's all just the backside. And
so your question is what I call this outrageous?
Down a hotel hallway.
I think it's funny that he's super dizzy and is having trouble walking at the end.
He's also doing a pretty good job of doing a bunch of somersaults. I don't think I could do that.
They're excellent. His form is good. He's staying. He's not running into any walls. I'd give that an 8. And I'm concerned about the chafing, though.
Because he's on a carpet.
Yeah, he's on a carpet, and presumably his bare bum hasn't done that on a carpet a lot, or maybe it has.
I believe
he's been working up for that.
I believe that's part of the story. He does that a lot in every city he goes to.
Oh.
So my question is, who cares? Why is this a thing? Why did it get wherever it got that it attracted my attention? And why do I think that I need to put it out there for you?
I think it's silly, and so he does this a lot.
Yeah, but
okay, so that makes it funnier because repetition in comedy is a very real thing.
Are we shocked?
So the more
Are we shocked?
Shocked?
Yeah. It's his bare butt. We're shocked.
Well,
the horror.
Is that so if people are having that reaction, that's just silly. A grown man doing bare butt somersaults down a hallway once is silly, twice is concerning, and then 50 times is funny as shit.
Okay.
Like, the more you do it, the funnier it gets. So good for him. I'd rather see that than what he ate for breakfast every day while he's on these tours.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Well, okay. I wouldn't rather see it.
Don't know that. Don't know. I want to see either. But I guess what I'm wondering is this a thing, or are we beyond that now?
Beyond naked butt somersaults?
Yeah.
I hope not.
Okay, we need more naked butt somersaults, and it's ilk. It's like. Okay, so that's the news from Raleigh.
Yeah.
Glad
great
you
job,
asked.
Raleigh.
Glad you asked.
Great job.
Here's the news from Durham. High school football player says racist things on social media. And this, it's going to have the N-word in it at the very end. He's not calling anybody anything, and I think it's got your soft R.
Yeah, he's not using the hard R.
Yeah.
So he thinks he's being cute.
Yeah.
In his underwear with his best bud.
Yeah.
Drunk, lying in bed. That's cute.
Yeah.
So
I'll play that. I mean, this will click our explicit button because he says other stuff, and here he goes. I think.
Hey Marie, I fucking love Trump. Fuck the liberals shit. Fuck women. Fuck that feminist bullshit. Fucking roll Trump, roll motherfucker. Roll fucking Trump, nigga.
Okay, do you hear that again? Does anybody need to hear that again?
Were you asking?
Hey Marie, I fucking love Trump. Fuck the liberals shit. Fuck women. Fuck that feminist bullshit. Fucking roll Trump, roll motherfucker. Roll fucking Trump, nigga.
Okay. Well,
it's ridiculous. What a sad little twerp.
Now, once again, he has got the world all a tizzy.
Who cares what this dumbass,
apparently
insecure
every television station in the triangle.
So, yeah.
The News and Observer.
He's showing incredibly poor judgment. He's an idiot.
He's a teenager, in other words.
He's a teenager. Should he be allowed to, what is it? They're trying to bench him. He plays football or something?
Football, and I think it's a lacrosse, which is...
Oh, lacrosse. Of course he does. Okay, so he plays lacrosse.
This story isn't saying the lacrosse. I think the News and Observer did.
The one you sent me at the very beginning, it says lacrosse.
Yeah.
I remember that.
This website that I'm pulling it from is called News One. And News One is a black-oriented website. So they put it up there. So, if somebody thinks that we're being particularly wrong for playing it with that N-word in it, it's up there on a black website. They call themselves newsone.com, your destination for news and information for and about blacks in America. Now, I don't know if they can claim to speak for all blacks in America. I don't think that's possible, but that's their identity.
This is such a there's so many things in the world to worry about. Some dumb kid in Durham.
So we're going to have sensitivity training at school.
Who's going to get a beat down when he shows up at Jordan?
That at school you're familiar with?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a school here, and we are, as most of the schools in Durham are, we are highly integrated schools. I can't imagine. It's not something that. I mean, all of his friends are probably saying this amongst their, and he's not. And they're enjoying the publicity. To be cool. He's not actually being racist. The most offensive thing he says, and I'm certainly not offended, is fuck women. And
no, the most offensive thing he said was something about Trump, and it wasn't fuck Trump.
Roll Trump, roll. Yeah. Okay, again.
Or a Trump guy.
Yeah, so he's a Trump guy. That's
fine example of his ilk.
That's concerning, and I'm sad for him, and I'm sad for everyone who's associated with him.
I'm waiting for Trump to tweet that he does not support these comments.
Well, he's not going to do that. He'll probably give this stupid kid a cabinet position.
There should be one opening up anytime now, just based on ordinary schedules. So we'll have sensitivity training and all of the hand wringing at school, but they say they can't discipline him because he didn't do it at school.
it's stupid, but I don't understand that word with the soft R is pervasive in every song he's listening to. Everyone at his school is talking like that. I don't know that him tossing that in at the end is actually is it insensitive?
But it's what got it in
right.
the news. But all the rest of it wouldn't.
Doesn't seem. I'm not telling anyone to be offended or not be offended by something, but it just seems like such a insignificant. The most disturbing thing, I guess, is the link between that Trump supporters think it's okay to voice, but I don't even think he's voicing a position by using this word in this context.
Yeah.
He's using it because it's something
because he's
cool
a teenager
that kids, he's a teenager, and that's what cool kids these days say. And I don't even think it's that shocking in his cohort.
And from reading the story, I got the impression that he sent that as a message to one person, and that one person then took it and shared it out.
Yeah.
I don't think he
it was probably a Snapchat or something. Kids these days.
Kids, what could you do? When we were kids, we respected our elders in society.
Yeah, sure we did.
There's a couple
we never said anything stupid that we wished we'd taken back.
There's a couple of cops in Winnetka that could tell you how much I respected my elders' authority in society when I was a kid. They could do a job. The statute of limitations has run out. And now I am a paragon of respect and values. So I remember that I something I wanted to add to our last program that I forgot about the Trump folks. We were talking about the mind of the Trump voters, and my Facebook feed is filled with those phonied pictures of typically some liberal person. Hillary's a favorite, but there's plenty. And then text that is laid over it that is allegedly a quote of what they said, and it's all made up.
Those are always fun.
Yeah. So, and I'll check Snopes and did they say this just for fun?
Yeah.
And Snopes.
Don't you love Snopes? Does everyone who's listening? Does our viewer in Raleigh, our viewer who happens to be in Raleigh, use Snopes? Snopes is the most valuable tool in the internet age, I think.
It is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Snopes, SNOPES.com.
You can check anything. It's fact checking at your fingertips. Anytime you see something that seems where they're telling you that there are people are leaving AIDS needles in telephone booths. That was one of the early ones when people still had telephone booths, or any other shocking news that you might see on the interwebs. If you think, could that really be true? Check Snopes, and they will tell you if it is true or if it is false.
But Snopes is, and I'm telling you this because that's what, when I check them, and I'll go back to these websites or I'll go back to these Facebook posts that come from Facebook friends of mine and Facebook friends of mine. Mm-hmm. And I'll say, this is bullshit. This is, this is fake news. This is made up. That person never said that. Here's the reference from Snopes. Oh, Snopes is just a left-wing liberal outlet that they make stuff up all the time. So, yeah.
But
they're equal opportunity fact checkers.
They debunk both sides.
Yeah, it's just that liberals tend to not lie quite so much.
Yeah.
Not that they don't, just not as much.
I think we also tend to say, oh, my bad.
Yeah, that's one of our problems.
Yeah.
The very first episode of Newsroom, Jeff Daniels playing the Will McAvoy news anchor, and somebody asks him, what makes America great? Not quite in those words, I don't think. Why is America the best country in the world? It isn't. You know what's wrong with Democrats? It's because they lose so goddamn much. It's a great show. Did you watch Newsroom?
I didn't.
Oh, I think you'd like it. It's on, you got Amazon Prime?
I do.
Okay, it's on Amazon
For a
Prime.
little while longer.
It's on Amazon Prime Video. It only lasted 2 seasons, maybe 3.
Okay, I'll watch it before I let my subscription expire.
It's an Aaron Sorkin, so you'll recognize that. If you liked
Cool.
West Wing, I think you'll like that. So we got the kid in Durham. He's a kid. Fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him. And fuck his parents for letting him turn into that little creep. His parents may be lovely people who are horrified and grounding him right now.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That never happened to me. My parents had no control. Absolutely. My mom was an alcoholic, so she couldn't control anything. And my dad went to work all day and didn't pay a lot of attention to us. Got, frazzled every now and then and laid down the law, which didn't last very long. Because he had to go to work and my mom was drunk. So,
gosh, Gary, that's a real downer.
Yeah. It's the happy show. This portion of the Triangle Talk Show is brought to you by alcohol.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
I did that. It helped a lot. So the Constipation Party. This is not a place where we all get together and chug kaopectate. Much as it might sound like that. So I'm not sure that this is a party that you want to go to either.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that I signed up for this party.
There's a new political party in North Carolina. I just discovered them reading the News and Observer, the Under the Dome column, because they were trying to run some candidates that they nominated at their convention. And I'm pretty sure every member of it's called the Constitution Party. And I'm pretty sure every member of the party was at the convention. And it was in a small birthday party room at a Howard Johnson. Would be my guess. No, actually, from their platform, they're probably got the potential to be popular if anyone finds out who they are.
No.
They wanted to run some candidates, and the Republicans slapped them down, even though the Constitution Party is to the right of the current crop of Republicans, which doesn't leave a lot of room.
No.
Over there off to the right. But they were. They wanted to run some candidates and they're suing because the Republicans said you can't do it. The Republicans made up a rule that said if you ran in the primary under a major party label, or I guess any party label, and this party wasn't running candidates in the primaries, but some of the people that they want to run, they were running probably as Republicans and lost. And the Republicans came up with a rule that says if you ran in the primary and lost, you can't run in the general. I don't think that's going to pass constitutional muster. I don't think. I think the Constitution Party is probably going to win their case. That would be my guess.
They should know.
Well, yeah, because they're the Constitution Party. So when I read that, I'm going, can I guess what their political lean is? Constitution Party. I was going to guess right wing, but I wasn't real sure. And if the Republicans are making it hard for another party to run in the right wing, well, no, we'll find out in a moment. I think what the Republicans were trying to do, and I haven't seen this in any articles yet, so it may come out in a day or so. We'll see if any of the real pundits out there agree with me. I think that the Republicans don't want any spoilers. If some of these guys end up running, they're going to pull Republican votes. So they'd be election spoilers. The 2012 Constitution Party of North Carolina platform. I don't think they've updated it. So on the screen, this is their platform. It's pretty long, so I can't go through all of it. I just pulled out bits and pieces that I'll read for you. Preamble. The Constitution Party gratefully acknowledges the blessings of Almighty God, preserver and ruler of the universe and of these United States. So,
well, they're off to a good start. That sounds pretty inclusive.
I've never asked you about your religion. Do you have
I'm an
any?
atheist.
Okay. What I say is that I am agnostic by experience and atheist by faith.
Okay.
Because I believe you can't know.
I believe you can't know too, but I don't believe.
Right. Well, that's why atheist by faith, because faith is belief in something that you can't prove. And so agnostic is you can't tell, and atheist is is faith in being agnostic, I guess. I say that to be clever. If I'm being more serious, I just say I check the none box, the none of the above.
Yep.
So why am I not shocked that you would be an atheist?
I don't know. Most people are like, oh! No,
well,
I'm just kidding.
We are your friendly neighborhood atheists.
Yep.
Yeah. With a smile.
I think
we are going straight to hell.
Yeah. However, atheism, and this is interesting, the more secular society becomes, the more humanistic it becomes. It's greater emphasis on religious dogma that tends to create a divisive and aggressive society. So the more atheists we have, the nicer we're probably all going to be to each other.
Well, we'll test that hypothesis over the next few years. It can be a recurring theme of the show. I see we're running short on time.
Not that I'm very nice to people. I like the theory of people being nice to people. I just don't want to be bothered by doing it myself. I like being nice to dogs.
I'm damn nice to people. They leave me alone, I'm fine.
Yeah.
The goal of the Constitution Party is to restore American jurisprudence to its constitutional foundations and to limit the federal government to its constitutional boundaries. I highlighted that because it is blah, blah, blah.
Why don't we, if we really want to limit the federal government, why don't we just burn the Constitution?
You'll have to explain that to me.
Well, that's sort of the foundation of our nation's government. Let's just start by getting rid of the Constitution entirely. And, then they won't.
Couldn't then they do anything they want? Isn't the Constitution sort of the list of restrictions, the thou shalt nots?
Well, let's burn it down and start over.
You can do this and you can't do that.
Hi, Vince.
A song from the 70s. Essential core values of the Constitution Party. I've skipped over a lot because there's way too much here. Sanctity of life. Life. I'm all for life. I think life is great. We affirm the God-given legal personhood of all unborn human beings, without exception. Rape or incest? Well, too bad for you, young lady. It is unconscionable to take the life of an innocent child for the crimes of his father.
Huh. I'm glad that's so blurry that I can't read it myself or I'd be madder.
But I read it in such a clear and authoritative sounding voice. It should get you riled up.
Yeah, I'm pretty riled up.
Well, what I appreciate is that they are very clear what their position is.
Yeah,
they're not great. Waffling. It's like Trump. No waffling. Well, yeah, it's like Trump. It's like people think Trump is no waffling, although he waffles like crazy.
He waffles. That's all he does.
Yeah. He'll say something Tuesday and say the opposite on Wednesday. And on Thursday, he'll say, I never said anything about either one.
Yeah.
So yeah, clear as a bell.
what do you even say? I don't know how to have, I honestly wouldn't know how to have, I would have a conversation with them. I would absolutely have a conversation with them. My dad, when we go to the fair, my parents are big Democrats and they usually work the Democratic booth a day or so at the fair. And Dad always gets hooked in. He's always the right to lifers at the fair. They'll call him over and he'll engage in a conversation. And this last year, I was like, he kept talking to them. I'm like, Dad, stop talking to her. And she's like, well, he's just interested. I'm like, he's not interested in anything you're saying. Stop talking to her. Let's go. We have to go. This is criminally negligent behavior that she's promoting here.
I just one more zinger and I'm going to win.
Right. And you're not.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite zingers is on the gay thing. It's like, so how old were you when you decided to be straight?
Yeah.
But that doesn't work. It's a perfectly argument ending statement to me, and it doesn't.
It doesn't work. There's no conversation. There's no, now I'm happy to have the conversation, but I like to look for the common denominator. So if you're against abortion, nobody's for abortion. Nobody's pro-abortion. That's ridiculous. I say that I'm pro, that I support retroactive abortion up to the 18th year, but I don't really mean that. Nobody's really pro-abortion. What we all want is to reduce the number of unwanted children. We want to eliminate the need, but you can't get rid of abortion and also talk about abstinence training in schools. You can't. Let's find a common denominator. What is our actual goal? Everybody's goal would be no abortions. That would be everyone's goal. So how do you get that? How do you achieve that?
Really good birth control.
Yeah, really good birth control.
Which these folks are opposed to as well.
Exactly. So until you're ready to talk to me about a solution to the problem that's realistic, then don't talk to me about the problem, because you don't even understand the problem. Yeah. And if you're going to say that rape and incest are also, that you should force children in many cases to have the offspring of being raped by their father, then you're a monster. I mean, there's no
Don't sugarcoat it, kid. Tell me what you think.
You're a horrible human being, and you don't deserve to be here.
Retroactive abortion.
A retroactive abortion.
Raising the age limit now up to probably about 70 or 80.
Yeah, only up to 18. I think after 18, it's
got to keep them.
Yeah, it's immoral after that.
And then do a podcast and rail about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me check. Yep, I'm still a guy. I got very little moral high ground to speak about any of this because I'm male.
Oh, that doesn't stop them.
Put
the signs in the babies' hands and take them to a protest. Yeah. Make women's lives miserable. Oh, God, these people. My friend, a very good friend of mine all through high school, she worked for National Women's Health, and I called it the abortuary because I thought that was funny. And they would come and protest all the time. And some of these, I mean, a lot of people that go to National Women's Health are going for counseling, for birth control, for adoption. They're not necessarily going there for an abortion. But the protesters were just awful.
They're zealots. I mean, there's zealots on both sides everywhere, but these are really zealots.
Zealots in general are bad. Whether they are more closely aligned with me or less closely aligned, zealots are bad. And I don't know why we don't recognize, we talk about, cult followers as zealots being bad, but do people not recognize, or, people who followed Hitler, those were bad zealots. But Trump zealots they're zealots. They're all zealots. People who think that prayer in school should be mandatory. That's zealotry. That's not good. That's huge federal government. You can't. And I guarantee these constitutional fuckers are hoping for prayer in school and all kinds of other stuff as well.
We'll get to that. And we may get to that if we don't run out of time. You and I may currently be practicing zealotry without a license and not aware of it. We may be. I'll admit that.
I'm not going out and attacking anyone. You're listening. You volunteered to listen to my podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. We're not even standing on the corner with a bullhorn.
No, I'm too fucking lazy to go and shout about it in the streets.
Religious freedom, taxation of churches must be halted. I just pulled a few words out of it. Basically,
what?
That's what it is. Taxation of churches must be halted. So, churches aren't taxed.
No.
You know what's going on right now is that there is talk of removing the tax-exempt status of churches whose primary purpose, or I'm not sure exactly where the line is going to be drawn, but where they're basically political conventions every Sunday. You know, where the pastor's up there railing, endorsing candidates and making mostly political oratory. And doing that with tax exemption for being a church. I'm not even
tax any church that takes in more than $1 million a year.
Well, we got the First Amendment. That for a long time I thought that they couldn't charge sales tax on newspapers because of the First Amendment, and I think for a while that was the case, and these days they do. But in no law respecting religion, and that's been interpreted to be respecting or denying religion. So I don't really have a problem myself with preachers talking politics all they want at a church. I don't think that should be a problem, and I don't think that they should be taxed. And I think that it could go both ways. I think both sides could benefit from, could get a benefit out of something like that happening. Not worried about it. But these guys are definitely I think they believe that they'll get a leg up by railing, the strong hyper evangelists tending to be right wing. And I think those are the ones that are being threatened with the idea that they might get taxed. I don't know. That's not my most important thing here from what they were saying. I just pulled it out. Here's one. You're going to enjoy this one. Traditional family. One man, one woman, joined by marriage, should be encouraged by law.
By law?
By law. Now, it doesn't...
Where are we reducing the role of government in this party so far?
Just small enough to fit in your bedroom.
Yeah.
One of my favorite jokes. At least they're not saying that. I mean, they're saying it should be encouraged by law. They didn't put it in their platform that gay marriage should be illegal. I got a feeling that somewhere that's going to become their position, but it's not
what they mean.
It's not there right now. One man and one woman. My position has evolved. Me and Obama. Mine evolved a little before his did, but at least his did. Because I probably spent most of my life thinking that there's something wrong with someone when they're gay.
That's a brave confession to make.
Well, I'm 68 years old. I'm a product of my time, and I don't think I heard very much really overt about it until probably in the 80s sometime, maybe later. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure how that impression was formed. I mean, as a teenager, I hardly understood what a homosexual was.
Well, that's probably how it was formed. It's just lack of experience or exposure to things tends to make us distrust or afraid of it. It's like, I mean, this is an odd thing, but dogs who are afraid of things, it's usually not because something bad happened to them. It's often because they just weren't exposed to it at the right period of their development for it to be normalized. And I think humans are very much like that too. If we're not exposed to things, or exposed to either seeing it or being around it or hearing about it, or being taught a tolerance for it at the right developmental period in our lives, it just becomes really difficult for us. I mean, we have to make a concerted effort later to think about it and, well, is it or is it not okay? I mean, not being gay, anything. My great aunt, she came, I mean, she grew up in South Carolina, and I mean, in her 80s, she started, late 70s and 80s. She's like, you know what? I think the church is wrong on this. I don't think this makes any sense. And we were all sort of blown away. And she had developed quite a close-knit network of gay friends in Chapel Hill. And she's like, yeah, I think the church has got it wrong on this. And we were all so just impressed by that, because I mean, this is a woman who grew up, she was always Republican. And this was old South Carolina rice plantation, families that you come from. So there was a lot of bigotry in all kinds of areas, but she started questioning that. A lot of people in her generation and from her area of the country never questioned those things. And
yeah.
I think you
and
have
still
to,
don't very
and
much.
still don't.
I mean, these guys,
Yeah.
our Constipation Party, they don't question it. They know what they know what they think. Well, I in the 60s, late 60s, right around 1970, I went to work at a radio station in Wisconsin on the at the tutelage of a mentor fella that was the chief engineer of this little radio station, and he was a ham radio guy, and I knew him through that. And I was just out of high school, and they needed a disc jockey, and he knew I was interested in this radio thing, with no talent and no experience. But he told the boss to hire me, which they did, and I moved up, and I lived with him for a few months, and he was gay, and I didn't know it. And he was, as far as I can tell, in the closet at that point. But he wanted me to sleep in the bed with him, and I did. And the first couple nights he would try to feel me up, and I just grabbed his hand and gently put it back where he was. And he stopped. He still wanted me to sleep with him, but he didn't. And there wasn't two bedrooms. There was one bedroom. It would have been a couch. And so he never did that again. And years later came out of the closet. Now he's totally openly gay, lives in Hollywood. And I talked to him about it again decades later. And he said, yeah, you're kind of a cold fish. I said, well, I'm not gay. I wasn't turned on. I liked you as a friend a lot, but you were not my kind of guy.
So what's the interesting thing, and no, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I didn't know the terminology to put on that situation. In my mind, I just kind of shoved it to the side and didn't pay much attention to it till years later, when now I know what's going on. I knew exactly what was going on. And so he was gay in the late 60s in a small town in rural Wisconsin where you couldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember deciding I was straight. I don't remember when I decided that. It was a choice. Apparently I made it.
Yeah. None of us decide it. And we all encounter, I don't understand really why people don't see that it's the same. Women are approached by and hit on by men all the time. Some of them, we want them to do that. Others, we don't. Sometimes they take no for an answer. Sometimes they don't. There's no difference. If someone comes on to me, man or woman, and I'm attracted to them, man or woman, then I can act on it. If I'm not attracted to the man or woman, then I don't act on it. And what does that hurt me? Whatever their gender is, if I'm not attracted to them and they don't force anything on me, then what is that hurting me? In what way? There's no harm, no foul. I think it's a compliment to you that he felt safe enough to reach out in an environment where it could have been really dangerous, unsafe for him to do so. But this kind of, all of our lives, we're approached by and either accepting or rejecting the affections of another. And again, as long as nobody's forcing anything, and there's, not a lot of the statistics are that you're much more likely to be a woman raped by a straight guy than you are a woman to be raped by a woman or a man to be raped by a man. That's just, if you're going to be afraid of anyone, it would be straight men. That's really your biggest threat in society.
And women being raped by straight men is a serious threat.
Mm-hmm.
And two guys or two women loving each other and getting married is not a threat at all. Exactly.
No threat at all.
If you can pin somebody down, probably the biggest argument they make is if we allow this sort of family unit to thrive and prosper, we're going to stop making children because two women or two guys together can't have a kid.
Because we're all going to turn gay.
We're all going to turn gay.
We're all going to turn gay.
Everybody's going to turn gay, and we will stop reproducing.
Yes.
There'll be no motive. There'll be no drive and no motive to want to have kids because gay people don't want to have kids.
Right.
And,
that's
and just in case they do, we need to prohibit them from having them because they're asking for it, but they must be lying.
And fortunately, all of the homeless children and orphanages have been cleaned out, and this is a clear threat that we're going to run out of children.
I don't think there are orphanages anymore, not in the U.S.
Well, they're, homes.
Yeah, the foster system.
But, well, there are residential facilities as well.
I guess that's an orphanage.
Yeah. So, but not all kids, they end up in all kinds of different situations. Yeah. But yeah, we're not going to, we have a crushing overpopulation problem globally anyway. It would be better if more of us were gay.
Yeah. Sort of depends on what country you're in, because we're approaching, two things. We're approaching a point where we need immigrants because we're not reproducing ourselves enough, and especially white people.
Ugh. It's terrifying.
At some point, we might become the minority.
Dun, dun, dun.
Majority minority. The biggest of the less than half. Yeah, that would be pretty terrible. I think the first time I was confronted with that concept in a cinematic portrayal was the Matrix movies. And somebody pointed it out, and it took a moment for me to say, not in the Matrix. Do you see the Matrix movies?
I saw the first one. I didn't know there was more than one.
It was a trilogy. There were three. And in the first one, you don't see quite as much of this. It's not until you get to the second and even more the third, you look at the underground society of real live people and not the imaginary Matrix people. The imaginary Matrix people, it's a pretty diverse population, but it's still very white. But the underground people that have escaped from the Matrix, white people are a distinct minority, and they make no deal of it at all. And someone points it out, and you say, oh, well, yeah. Now, if I were a member of the Constipation Party, I might have gone to that movie and said, where'd all the white people go? I don't know. Maybe. I didn't notice until someone said, did you notice the diversity, the makeup of the population? There's not all that many white people in it. Oh, cool. That's pretty cool. Are you still having visibility issues, like you can't see the screen very well?
Yeah, I can't read any of that. Okay. It's like pre-LASIK.
Pro Second Amendment. We stand against all laws which would require the registration of guns or ammunition. Now, you're gun girl.
Who are these people?
You're gun girl. Yeah.
This is
show us your
girl.
gun.
I'm not a moron.
Show us your guns. I got you full screen here.
I don't. I'm not packing while I podcast.
Well, no, I was referring to.
Oh, those. Yeah. Okay.
Let me get you on screen. There you go. That's not bad. You must do a little working out.
I work out a lot.
First, I mean, you got no testosterone to help you build them up. So.
Yeah.
So you're doing good, girl.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
my trophies are right up there.
I can sort of see them. So you're pro having a gun. I guess that's pro Second Amendment.
I'm not pro having a gun. I enjoy guns. I don't think that people should have guns if they don't want to have guns, and I think that there should be
No, you need to have a gun and an abortion. These are going to be mandatory requirements at some point.
If you don't have an abortion, I'll shoot you. But and we talked about this a lot in the gun show. There need to be laws. I think that all gun ownership should come with the same type of training that concealed carry comes with a concealed carry license. I think our biggest problem is open carry. The fact that pretty much any schmuck can open carry who thinks that it's cool to shoot their gun sideways with one hand. Yeah. So that's
so registration is not that big a problem for you, even though that's how the Nazis found the Jews.
It should be registered. There should be registration. There should be background checks. There should be waiting periods. There should be all of those things. And
there should be guns.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You won't be too surprised to find out that.
I also don't think you should 3D print guns.
Yeah, that is an interesting ripped from the headlines.
Yeah.
Thing.
See,
now.
I read something.
You paid some attention. I'm impressed. This right to have guns is conferred upon an individual and the community by our Creator to safeguard life, liberty, and property. So God wants you to have guns. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I forgot about all the gunplay in the Bible. Yes.
I'm trying to remember. Don't remember a lot of that.
Oh, maybe I'm confusing that with Die Hard.
I think so. We should oppose any world court under United Nations auspices. This is a piece with a lot of no UN, no NATO. Terminate United States membership in the United Nations. They don't mention NATO specifically.
They probably haven't heard of it.
Could be, but it's the worry about giving up our national sovereignty and let someone else tell us what to do. All treaties, things like that. Bad.
How about the fact that business already tells us what to do, controls most of it? Is that a problem for them, or are they okay with that?
I don't remember seeing anything in their platform on business, but
maybe they just haven't
got there yet. They're still working on it. This is from 2012. It's a work in progress. Again, there's a lot of text here, but I've highlighted just a little bit of it. Anti-socialism. We are opposed to federal aid, foreign aid, and national health care. They must be able to come up with more stuff about socialism than that, but that's pretty much what they've got. Deny the government authority to set wages and prices. But mostly,
I assume,
federal aid.
Are we also going to get rid of libraries and parks? I hope that goes too.
Surprisingly, as I've gone through this, and I didn't become a scholar on it, but they recognize some need for actual government institutions. I'm not sure that libraries and parks
Well,
qualify.
but I mean, libraries, that's just a socialist. Plus,
It
I mean, what are you
pretty
going
much
to do at a library?
Yeah.
Read shit?
The big one in there for me is
Schools, too. I hope they keep poor kids out of schools.
well, they're gonna. But the big one in here is the national health care thing, because I think that's a really good idea. I'm definitely socialist enough. There is a balance to this, and we won't have time for it in this show, so maybe we'll do it in the next show. And that's the Democratic Socialists that are so much in the news today because of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Democratic
Nicely
Socialist, the Democratic Socialist who won her primary in New York for Congress. So, and in a district that winning the primary is tantamount to winning the seat, unless people decide they don't really like Democratic Socialists so much, and the right wing is trying real hard to convince them that they don't. There is a Democratic Socialist Party in North Carolina. I've invited them on the show a couple times and haven't got any response yet. So we'll see. I didn't invite these guys. I didn't really want to listen to them.
Oh, please. Oh, my God.
Happy reading their stuff. Invite them. Do invite them. You want, because it's like your dad at the state fair.
I don't know what I would do. Part of me would love it, and part of me would never, ever speak to you again.
We'll see what happens. I'll try to get through this. Capital punishment. The innocence of life ends. Because, remember, they are...
right. They're pro-life.
Yeah, they are so pro-life that if you're raped, you have the kid. Mm-hmm. But innocence of life ends when that individual criminally violates the right to live of another.
Yeah. So we'll force you at gunpoint to have your baby, and then we'll shoot your kid in the head if they do something wrong.
Yeah. We support capital punishment to prevent future harm, to deter others from committing the same.
It's not a deterrent, but that's okay.
Well, they do say, and this mitigates my opposition to what they're saying to some extent, when all doubt has been removed.
Yeah, but that's almost impossible. So my position on the death penalty, I'm pro-choice across the board. And this is maybe libertarian perspective. I'm pro-choice across the board. Pro-choice with bringing it into the world, and I'm pro-choice with leaving it. If someone is convicted beyond all reasonable doubt, give them the choice of they have to be removed from society. You can either be removed from society, or you can choose your method of death. It eliminates the cost. The most costly part of prison is death row appeals. It expedites it. It removes the ability for anyone who's innocent, to be executed, which happens quite often.
But it's the party that is found guilty that makes the choice, is what you're saying.
Right.
You can choose to live your life out in prison, probably maybe solitary or on breaking rocks in hard time, or you can choose to die.
Yep. The switch.
I don't believe I've ever heard that concept stated before. Don't think I've read it. It's brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anybody else say it either, but that's been my position for years. It's the cheapest, fastest, most humane, and least likely to be a decision that we regret later because we find out that really wasn't the right person.
Well, if someone, I guess if I'm going to argue with it, it would be, and my general take is if you have to be absolutely sure, and you can't be absolutely sure. We have killed lots of people who are innocent.
Lots and lots of people.
Yeah. And you could probably get somebody to choose death, even though they're innocent.
That's true. Absolutely, that's true. But it's still, when it comes down to your life as an adult, I also think it's your choice to die when you want to.
The hard part would be determining whether the person is in a mental state where they can make a reasonable choice. That might be pretty
so
hard
now
to do.
if they're not in a mental state where they can make a choice, then were they competent to stand trial
That's a
and
good point.
be accused of first-degree murder with a death penalty?
So these folks say that when all doubt has been removed. So they got me at when all doubt has been removed, and they lose me at capital punishment should be carried out within 60 days after all appeals have been heard.
Yeah, well,
'Cause-
60 days, but it can take 30 years for all appeals to have been heard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So-
actually kind of meaningless.
I mean, there's a woman who's on death row right now in North Carolina. She's been there, good God, 30 years, since the 80s.
Oh, that's right. You're a serial killer buff.
Yeah.
And a few of those have been caught.
Yeah. Lots of them have.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, if that's okay. Education.
We're at 9:20, so we're ticking away.
Yeah, education. Responsibility to educate our youth lie with the parents. No government should infringe on the parents' right to educate their children. Parents who wish to educate their children outside of the government-run school system should receive equitable tax relief. Well, one thing that statement says is that there still should be a government-run school system. They're not totally opposed to that. So
I am.
there
I
we
think
are.
we should just get rid of the schools. I mean, what is the point?
Yeah, education
And if
has
there
clearly
are
been a failure.
schools, then I think we need to do a 50-50 split between just straight evolution theory and prayer. I think those are the only two things that any child really needs to learn.
50-50 split. So you can choose the school that is going to teach you evolution or the one where you just pray all day.
Or the one that's going to teach you prayer. That's it. Yeah.
I have a beef with my liberal brethren and sisterin on schools because we've got a lot of bad schools, a lot of bad public schools, and I don't know how to fix them. And to pull all the white kids out and especially pull all the white kids out and give the parents money for doing it or tax relief so that the schools that are left have even less money.
Poor kids. Yeah.
That's a problem. But
That's a real problem.
we have gone since I was born and before and will continue to go after I die with bad public schools. And I'm mad about that. And I don't know how to fix it. And I get the feeling that our politicians don't know how to fix it and maybe don't want to. Even the ones that I vote for.
But yeah, agreed. I think you can't take out, it's a societal problem. You may want your child to be educated and that's important to you. And I get that. And you like your kid and good for you. But from a societal perspective, it's more important for the majority of the children to be educated well enough than for a small number of children to be educated really well. And so when it comes down to, I don't care that much about any of your individual children. I care more about having a well-rounded society of fairly well-educated children who are able to think for themselves, ask questions, and stand on their own 2 feet.
I wish you had thought a little bit about this and have some opinions.
I told you I don't ever need to read anything in advance. I already know everything.
Apparently. And well, you thought about a lot of stuff because I don't know what to do. Our society has definitely benefited from public education.
Yeah. And as bad as it is, we've done okay. We've really done okay. Yeah. It's better in some districts. It's worse in other districts. It would be nice if it were more even across the board.
And the part that's bad, even the part that's bad today, is a legacy of our horrendously racist society for most of our country's history.
Yep.
We are suffering that today yet.
And it will be several generations that we continue to. But the answer to it is not to go back to a segregated school system.
we're doing that de facto anyway in some situations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This part has me somewhat baffled. I don't know whether this is good, bad, or
this
indifferent.
Part, we're just getting to the part that baffles you.
They have a section called election reform, and they believe in, maybe you thought about this and can explain it to me. Instant runoff voting. Replace the current first past the post system. I'm not sure exactly what that means. I think I know what it means. Eliminate the misconception of wasted vote for minor parties. Now, these folks are a definitely minor party. Again,
minor party. So
every member of their party met in the birthday party room at Howard Johnson's for their convention. So they are a minor party, and they are suffering from the idea that they're going to get no traction in any election because they're a minor party. And with the primary system and the winner takes all main election, then we're not going to win anything. They're never going to win. The third parties occasionally get some traction and get a couple of people elected in a couple of positions in a few places, but other countries around the world have vibrant, active, multi-party electorates, and
Germany is a great example.
Yeah, and we have Republicans and Democrats have a stranglehold on the electorate, and they're not going to let go. So maybe, I don't know whether this is a good idea or not, but they want to eliminate the misconception of the wasted vote for minor parties.
I don't know what that means. I like the German as much as I know about it. And I know very little fact about how our voting system or how Germany's works. But I do like where it's actual representation of each segment of society. So you can have multiple parties and then divvy up the degree of power that those candidates they have, and it seems to work pretty well.
Whatever becomes the rulers of the country, the folks that are running things at the time, usually have to put together a coalition, which probably means lots more compromise and lots more getting along. Yeah. Than what we've got.
And they're actually representing the country as opposed to picking the lesser of evils, which is what we do here.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Even if we were picking the lesser of 10 evils versus just picking the lesser of 2, They
want to get rid of subsidies from taxpayer funds. I don't think that's a big deal anymore. There's a checkbox still where you can contribute to presidential election, but none of the candidates take it because that means then they have a limit on how much money they can raise. So
what happens to that money if they don't take it? It just sits there? Is there like $70 billion sitting somewhere?
I know one thing for sure. They don't give it to me.
Yeah. Okay.
I got a feeling it goes back into the good old general fund. Now, here's a really interesting one, and you may be able to tell enough that I highlighted this in green and not in yellow. Legislative reform. All legislation must only be on one issue or topic, and no unrelated riders or amendments should be placed on any bill. I think I can warm up to that.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me at all. I wonder how they'd get anything passed without it, but...
Well, we just went through the North Carolina budget with no amendments. Because... No,
I mean specifically the Constitution Party.
Yeah.
If they weren't just burying it in 900 pages of gorp on something else.
Well, yeah. But the idea of amendments that are unrelated to a bill getting added to it and all the gamesmanship that goes on with that.
Yeah.
That bothers me all the time. And I would like to see when a politician says, I want a straight up or down vote, they're playing politics, or that's not what they ever really want. But because usually that's in a case where they want to force the opposition to appear to oppose or support something that is going to make them look bad at some point. so that when a politician says straight up or down vote, I don't believe that that's their government philosophy, because the next thing that comes along, the last thing they're going to want is a straight or up or down vote. It's just it's gamesmanship at that point. Most of the time, I think that we would be better off if we could propose something, amend it appropriately, amend it in a way that is going to modify it, but not add something
unrelated.
Yeah, totally unrelated.
Yeah. So
and, and then eventually vote on that idea as it's been modified to some extent, but not totally changed. Right now, they will take a bill, gut the bill, take all the language out, leave the name, and put something else in. They can do things like that. So as I was saying about the budget, that was a straight up or down vote because they wouldn't allow any amendments. They also wouldn't allow any discussion well, there's probably some discussion. There's minimal discussion, but they couldn't amend it and stay on topic either. They couldn't throw in a lot of earmarks and pork. There's plenty of pork in it as it was. But the Democrats got practically no say because the Republicans didn't allow any amendments. I don't think that's what we're talking about. I think, again, that was gamesmanship. I don't know if there's a way to do this without gamesmanship.
So there's one point. I'm fine with that. What else have they got for me?
That's the only thing I put in green. Vaccination reform. Parents should be able to choose whether or not their children are vaccinated. And, oh, by the way, end cooperation in the World Health Organization.
Okay. So no on that one. Moving on. That's stupid. Keep going.
That's the end. Well, why should I require your kids to get vaccinated just because they might get measles, chickenpox, or smallpox and pass it to my kids?
That's a great question. Why should public health?
Well, you don't have to worry about your kids.
I don't give a shit if you get your kids vaccinated. But if you put them on a school bus and all the other kids get sick, then we sue you.
Well, all the other kids have been vaccinated, so they shouldn't catch it.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless they're a little bit younger than the vaccination point, in which case they might.
Yeah, we sue you or stone you. I mean, in keeping with the...
Or retroactively abort you.
The degree of enlightenment that the Constitution Party seems to be exhibiting here, I say we stone. Let's just go back to good old public stonings.
I think burning.
And burning.
Burning or hanging.
Burning and stoning. We are stoning people while we burn them.
Yep. All right. Well, that is it. To
they
review,
are a delight.
To review their 7 core essential values: life, religious freedom, traditional family, private property rights, pro-Second Amendment, anti-socialism, and national sovereignty.
What a bunch of dumbasses.
The Constipation Party. Whew. And now you understand why I named the episode that.
Yeah. So that's something. I welcome the opportunity to speak to them.
I'll invite them to come on the show.
Okay.
And if they listen to this one, I'm sure that they'll be eager to do it.
Yes.
I haven't.
We're so welcoming.
I haven't. Maybe they'll be mad enough that they would. Again, I've invited the Democratic Socialists. I don't have any specific people to reach over there. And we don't have time to talk about them very much. But an interesting thing about them, and maybe we'll make their discussion the next episode. They've got a steering committee here in North Carolina. Co-chairs are Stephanie G. and no last name. And it says co-chairs, but there's only one name. She's a teacher and works to spread socialist, feminist, and anti-colonialist ideas through her great art. Secretary has chosen to remain anonymous so as to avoid Nazi hate mail and getting fired. They don't have a political education director right now. They're looking for one. Their fundraising chair's name is Lilia, no last name. Treasurer is Michael, no last name. Community engagement. They got some leads in, let's see. Their community engagement lead in Chapel Hill made a similar calculation as our secretary, which means they don't want to give their name so they don't get hate mail.
So,
Here's
I mean, this is interesting. And I think they're right to do this, particularly in our current climate. It occurs to me, has there ever been a liberal left-leaning group that has perpetrated a targeted attack on members of an opposing opinion, such as, an abortion center bombing or shooting them? Or do liberals ever do that?
I think that
running cars into crowds?
Yeah, I would not want to make the flat out statement that never happens.
No, I'm
it does.
Can you think of any where that has happened? I can't think of any liberal goes crazy and shoots up NRA rally.
Well, what I'm thinking of is after Ferguson, the riots in St. Louis area, there were demonstrations and riots, and the folks that are promoting that are going to be from the left side of the equation, and there will be some rioting and breaking windows and turning over police cars and things like that. Are those liberals? Are they just terrorists? They're not right wingers.
But are they driving cars into the middle of protesters on the opposite side? Are they bombing? Do they have a hit list of doctors who are performing surgeries that they don't approve of? Are they setting fire to crosses in people's front yards?
Yeah.
Are they?
I don't have a list in front of me.
Protesting funerals, for example, of
veterans.
Of
casualties of war. I am unwilling to say that there are people on the left who are not capable of rising up with the same viciousness as there are people on the hard right.
Yes, absolutely. I think I'm capable of it.
Well, I think it's happened, and I just don't have the list in front of me.
Yeah.
I would venture to say that list is not nearly as long.
Yeah.
But I'm sure.
And it's just, I imagine that everyone who's associated with the Constitution Party puts their first and last name on there quite proudly, because they feel like they have they have troops of people who will defend their right to say what they believe. Whereas the Democratic Socialist Party is in probably rightly experiencing fear of being identified because of either persecution or violence.
I'm not criticizing their decision not to be public about who they are. It's a comment that it's something I noted when I looked at it.
Right.
And it's not everybody.
I'm not. Not that you were judging it. It's just that it's interesting to me that they feel that fear, and thinking about it, I think that's probably a rightly. It's not an unrealistic fear.
I agree. Not everybody there has that fear. Your guy in Durham is Jesse Ackman. He's a librarian. He's a fan of dogs and plants. Man after your heart. The guy in Greensboro, Tom Nees, joined the day after the 2016 election. In Raleigh, Reed Sherrod, software designer at a healthcare company. I like the way that they express this. He's a software designer at a healthcare company for money, but he's more interested in building a movement of justice and dignity in Raleigh. And then Ryan, no last name, in Winston-Salem, a karaoke enthusiast who works in higher education for a living. I would, as much as I am not that interested in having the Constipation Party guys on the show, I would really love to have these guys. I'm not going to line up in your parade, but we're going to be a lot closer than I.
Yeah.
I got one green arrow in the Constipation Party, and with these guys, there's some things I disagree with. The overall argument or discussion that this fits into is the coming blue wave in North Carolina, which I'm going to spoil a potential show headline coming up soon that I will just call the North Carolina Blue Lawn Sprinkler. Because I don't know, but I kind of think that we're going to get a little bit bypassed by the blue wave. We'll see. It could be pretty exciting. We'll see what happens. Part of what I dedicate this show, the reason I got it started was to do my little part in continuing the level of enthusiasm that it takes to get something changed. Reaction to what happened and the idea of pulling together to make some change. This is what I know how to do. And so that's kind of why it all started with the Women's March the day after the Trump inauguration. And I was depressed, not horribly depressed. My life is a flat line. Beep, 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 beep. That's my life, a very flat line. But that inauguration day, it's like, oh, man.
I was horribly, I didn't get out of bed. I couldn't do it.
But the next day, were you watching? Were you paying attention the next day?
I was still in severe mourning, and I mean, I pretty much shut down everything for more than a week.
Well, that's too bad, because the next day the women marched on Washington and every other town in America and said, we're not going to take this. This is not our America. You may have made your America great again, but you made ours a lot worse. And I thought, that level of enthusiasm can't be sustained. Not for a party out of power, not for a group that is disparate. And I don't know whether it's being sustained or not. We'll find out in November for sure. That will be the point where we really know for sure whether it's it's something real. Mm-hmm. But that's why I wanted to do this show. And if it ever catches on, we've convinced our guy in Raleigh. It's now up to him to spread the word.
Spread the word. And
get us an audience. And I also don't want to be a drumbeat in one direction purely. I want to think. And I want you to help me think, and I'll challenge you and you challenge me. And if we can get some guests, even better. If we can't, we'll just talk.
And if we can...
We're appear to be pretty good at that.
Yeah. And if we can find someone who can get my death penalty idea rolling, that would be good.
Yeah. Do you know who your
Don't ask me a question that's going to embarrass me.
Your North Carolina senator and representatives are?
Mike Pence?
No. Not federal, state.
No, I should know these things.
We all should know these things, but we all pretty much don't.
Yeah.
I've been training myself to remember who the president of the Senate pro tem and the Speaker of the House are. And this is the only way I've been able to remember those names, as often as I see them in the news. In the Senate, we have our fill of burgers. The Senate has the Senate pro tem is Phil Berger. So we've got our fill of burgers. And in the House, we have Tim Moore. That's the only way I can remember those names. I was going to put an adjective in there, and I decided not to for some reason.
It's an interesting, and I think this is his, and I've got to go to bed. I got to get the dogs out and go to bed. But I think this is exactly what Trump wanted, is that I know fewer names and fewer faces than I ever have, because the only name and face that haunts everything is Trump. That's all there is. And that's all he wants there to be. Everything else, everyone else is just a speck in just a mote floating around in his universe.
Well, as far as me and the audience, I'm not asking them to become civics experts. I'm trying to become a bit more of one because I want to be able to translate some of this stuff to folks that have a life and don't really care, but do care, but don't want to make this their life.
Right. And I encourage people to not get caught up in the names and the sound bites and the what's going on and what some little douchebag posted on Instagram. But think about the logic of what you're saying. Think about the underlying philosophies that go into your thoughts and where they came from, and question whether or not they're yours or they're just baggage that you've carried with you. And do they make sense? You can make a lot of, you can have opinions and make a lot of decisions and influence thinking without having some of that detailed whatever's in the news knowledge. Just think about what you're saying. Think about what other people are saying. Think about what it really means in the long run.
Sounds good to me. I apologize for dragging you well past what you have been pleading with me to limit the program to.
The 1 hour. The 1 hour.
It's only been 1 hour and 45 minutes. Almost at 100% too long. So this is episode 22, The Constipation Party. And my badass co-host, no, my badass other host, Julia McClung.
That's me.
I've had a great time.
Me too. Good conversation.
I am Gary Pierce. That is it for this episode of the Triangle Talk Show. Over.
And out.
Don't even have to coach you anymore.
I've got Vince's over here, just like my hand is on my knee and he's just taking his head and pushing my hand up and pushing my hand up and sticking his butt under my hand. And
it's like,
he's like,
I want some attention
on.
And I want to go outside or I'm going to poop here on the floor.
Yeah. He's like, what the hell is this?
All right. Let's see. Are we going to try this again on Sunday or is that too soon?
Sunday, I am rock climbing. I am going to I'm in Pilot Mountain rock climbing for the first time ever. So I won't be getting
real rock
back.
Climbing.
Yeah, real rock climbing. I'm going to go up there on Saturday. I was going to try and drive. It starts at 9 a.m. I was going to try and drive up on Sunday morning.
By the way, we're still on the air here, so don't say anything.
Oh, that's fine. Drive up there Sunday morning, but that seems like a huge pain in the ass. So I'm going to drive up Saturday night and stay. And there's apparently one motel in Pilot Mountain, the Econo Lodge. I can't remember the last time I stayed in Econo Lodge.
They're fine.
I'm pretty sure it was with my parents. So yeah, staying in the Econo Lodge.
This episode of the Triangle Talk Show is brought to you by Econo Lodge. They're fine. They're fine. And they're the only place to stay. So it's going to be great. If you're going to Pilot Mountain, breakfast. They're the only place to stay. And they've got free breakfast.
I think it's probably going to be those prepackaged Danishes, but that's okay. So yeah, I'm not coming back until that's 9 to 3. And then I got a 2-hour drive back. So I don't think I'm going to be podcasting Sunday night.
Okay. Next Thursday.
Yeah.
All right.
Works.
All right. I'm going to switch off the YouTubes. I noticed that if I push the off button, it cuts things off a little too soon. So I'll wait for a moment.